Chairman Bagley, who is patiently sitting with us on the dais. I could see him. So we'll go ahead and take up Chairman Bagley's HB 56, authorizing administration of medical marijuana to a student by a parent, guardian, or authorized school employee at a public school. Chairman Bagley, on your bill.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee. This bill is very simple, very quick. Basically, it puts it medical marijuana, which is legal in the state of Louisiana to use. It puts it on the same footing as opioid. When students, and I was a school principal, administrator, teacher, we had lots of kids that took opioids, prescribed medicines. There was a procedure to do that. All we're doing is adding medical marijuana to that. There are students that have seizures, and it's been found to be good against that. There are younger children. Those things are prescribed by, there's a course they have to, not a course, but a procedure that they have to follow. The caregiver, which would be the parent or uncle, grandmother, would take it to the school, give it to the principal. Principal would decide whether the nurse does it or who would, but there would be a prescribed individual that would administer the medical marijuana to them in their presence. They can't take it anywhere. It has to be done there. The schools, districts do not have to abide to do it. They don't have to agree to do it. But if they do, there's a prescribed procedure to do this. And that's all it does, is just put it on the same posture as other medicines that they take.
And you mentioned to me that there was some issue with federal law as well.
Well, obviously federal law comes in place because it is against marijuana, still a Schedule I substance. We already have voted and legalized medical marijuana for medicine, and so this is just extension of that. Yes.
Into the schools. All right, and you have an amendment?
Yes. If they would enter this amendment, it's already entered, I'm assuming.
All right. Yeah, and members, Representative Bagley is referring to Amendment 373, which is online, and I'll go ahead and offer up that amendment on behalf of Chairman Bagley. On the amendment, Chairman Bagley.
Thank you. Well, basically, it just went through, it explains the things that I just talked about and lists some of those individually about what they can do, and rather than go through all that, it is simply to be sure that it's administered properly, that the right people handle it, and it's stored in a locked box. Again, the school district does not have to go along with this. The superintendent of schools can say, we're not going to do this. So it's not a mandate.
Students are prohibited?
Yes.
Okay, members, any questions on the amendment? Seeing no questions, any objection to the adoption of that amendment? Okay, that amendment will be adopted. It's Amendment Set 373. Back on the bill. I thought we had some questions on the bill. Representative Owen with a question.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative Bagley, for doing this. It makes great sense. I want to clarify what I heard you say, though. You said that the school districts have the option of not doing this. Would a school district also have the option of saying, we're not going to administer any drug?
I would
is it just carved out for this?
Representative Owens, that that's a school district would have the option to do that. I don't think by law that you have to do those things, even if your son needs an opioid I don't think a school district can opt out of that. I'm almost certain they can.
They can opt out of it.
I'm almost certain they can.
They say, we're not going to accommodate this student. That's very disturbing to me.
Well, it could be, but I don't know of anybody that does that. But it's hard to make blanket policies too. We have plenty of people here from school administrative areas that might shed more light on this. But where I worked, in the 43 years I worked, I never ran into that. We had plenty of students that had medicine that they took daily for different. My own daughter did, and this just puts the medical marijuana in the same. Mainly it's seizures, things like that for younger children that they prescribe for, and it's been very good about doing that. So that's the purpose of all that. The thing about the schools, there are some districts maybe that just don't think that's the way to go. I would think it would be smaller districts, but I don't know. I can't speak for that. I have no knowledge of that.
Well, I appreciate you bringing it, and at the appropriate time, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move favorable.
Thank you.
And I will make a note of that, Rep. Owen. Rep. Freiberg for a question.
I was just going to move.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing
thank
this.
you.
It's very reasonable.
Representative Phelps for a question.
Thank you. Thank you, Rep. Bagley. Again, I feel like I'm getting more education today. I appreciate the
Well, now,
the
you're a
topic.
school board member, you should already had that.
I'm saying never get tired of learning. So how many students do we have now, or that you're aware of, that are prescribed medical marijuana? You're talking.
I can't answer that. I'm not a doctor.
I don't mean in that sense. From grade levels, I'm not aware that there were students that needed medical marijuana at school. Maybe that's what I'm saying. So the districts that have come to you,
it's not done now, and there are students at every school. I'm sure there are people in this room that have students that know exactly what I'm talking about. Normally, I'm talking about from health and welfare, which I came from. Every time we had a meeting, there were parents there that had students that had normally younger children, had seizures, that were trying to get help.
so
And
this
so that's kind of where that comes from. I mean, they don't advertise their children have, so I don't know of a number. I can't tell you that.
maybe I should have rephrased it. And this bill comes from parents who have had the trouble of having their students
Well,
administered
and
medical
you're, as
marijuana.
a former school board member, let's say it's your child, and they are have a recommendation for medical marijuana for seizure, under current law, let's say they're supposed to take it at lunchtime. At 11 o'clock, 10:30, whenever he or she would go home,
Mm-hmm.
you would pick them up, take them home, administer the drug, and take them back. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
all that class time is gone. There's no way to recoup that. And certainly, I'm not sure how the schools do that, how they handle it, but we're trying to alleviate that problem. There's no reason for them to be out for that length of time.
Okay, so that's where this comes from, alleviating the
Yes.
parent giving.
It's just
And that
trying to
goes back to Rep. Owens' question. I was going to say, I never thought that there was an issue of a school system not honoring meds. However, I was quite aware of the parents coming and administering certain medicines to their student.
Right.
So this bill addresses the fact that I think you still mentioned that the parents will be able to do that. However, you're wanting a school administrator, nurse, if they can, or willing to administer it.
Right.
Okay, and I don't even know how they administer this. So we're talking about how is the dosage given?
I'm sorry?
How is a medical marijuana dosage given?
Oh, I don't know about,
I don't either. So that's why I'm trying to.
I'm not a
wrap 'em
physician.
up.
I don't know.
And that's why I'm just asking these questions for this vote. Okay,
Right.
so
Well,
that's
and
very-
basically, the legislation came out of an extension of legislation I passed last year, and as many of you know that served with me on health and welfare, I voted against every medical marijuana bill that came through, every one of them. I didn't believe it worked. I wasn't a supporter. Never used it. Don't know anything about it. But it got legal, and there are people. My own mother is one that used the CBD oil that says it's a lifesaver for her. She's 90 years old, has arthritis, and she put it on her back one time, and it cured that for her. So, if she's good for it, I promise you I'm going to be good for it.
And that's what I'm getting to, the types of dosage. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
and
How
I
it's
don't
being-
know that,
So
and I don't know-
is it open in your bill
Sorry,
of the
ma'am?
types of all types or certain types that are you're referring
Well,
to in
the law
in the bill?
is that if your doctor, your personal care physician, prescribes this medicine for your
In
child,
whatever form.
that is what is prescribed by the doctor and given to that child daily, if it's a daily dose, by whomever they authorize in the school to do that, if this passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Carter for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good to see you, Chairman. This is a very good bill. Thank you for bringing it.
Thank you.
It's important that we make sure that those children are able to get their medicine, especially in school, so they can continue learning. And I'm glad it's already been moved favorably. So
Thank you very much.
good work, and continue up the good work on this.
Thank
Thanks.
you very much.
Okay, we have two cards in favor that do wish to speak, but I would wonder if you still wish to speak when the tide seems to be going your way. But Katie Myers.
Those things you want to be careful how
Well,
long you speak.
I'm just wondering. Katie Myers, and there's no affiliation. I guess she's an individual. And Michelle Hall, again, no. It's 125 Jean Picard. That's her address. Sorry, shouldn't have said that. But no affiliation on this one either. Do you guys still wish to speak? Come on to the table then.
They can sit down. I'll get up.
Okay.
I would ask that you guys please be brief, and we have a very long agenda that we have to get to.
Okay, Bill, very brief. I just wanted to
If you
clarify.
introduce yourself for the record, please.
Can I take this off, please?
It's up to you.
Hi, my name is Katie Mayers. I'm no stranger over here. I have been down here since 2014 advocating for safe and consistent access for medical marijuana. I worked for the only cannabis attorney that was available during those times for legal advice, which is how I got involved here, although I do represent other businesses down here now. I am coming to you as a patient. I am the one who asked Chairman Bagley to bring the bill up on behalf of some issues we were having with approximately the 200 students, Ms. Phelps, that we have all currently on medical marijuana. Michelle Hall, most of you won't remember, was the mother who is the state's top foster and adoptive mother who had to be moved to Colorado to treat her daughter, Ella Grace. She did have a seizure in Representative Owen's parish in one of his schools, and she had to be brought in a minivan a block away from the school to receive her emergency dosage, which looks like this. And just to be, I wanted to clarify some of the questions that you did ask. So I did bring some sample medication. It is my own. All of the medication is properly labeled with dosage instructions. There's no smokable or raw crude forms, as in Louisiana law. These are just some of the products. They're all sublingual, usually. And that's what the bill calls for. This bill has also allowed the liability to get off the school boards. In the 34 states that do offer medical marijuana, 19 currently have adopted some sort of school policy because the discrepancy is between the federal DARE program and the Americans with Disabilities Act. And we all know the Americans Disability Act kind of trumps everything. And so basically it takes the burden off the school, it takes it off the school board. States that didn't have a statewide policy, you would see these patchwork states, meaning the school boards would fight each other because the parents couldn't all be on the same page about the rulemaking. So that's why we adopted a policy for all the schools in the state to follow. And that's what was issued to you in the amendment. And I just brought some pictures here just so you could see the difference. This is me holding Ella Grace. If you can see, she's on about 20 different pharmaceutical drugs. This was in 2015 before my brain surgery. And this is Ella Grace now, which is a completely different little girl. And to rob any child, if it's just one, not 200, of a better quality of life or an education is, it's not fair and it's not right. And we're doing a horrible misjustice to our children. We're also deterring them away from a medicine that could eventually save their lives within 20 seconds to 10 minutes of a dosage. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. Appreciate that. And Ms. Hall, would you like to add anything?
I
If you-
would. I would.
can you introduce
I'd
yourself?
like to answer your question.
Can you introduce yourself for the record first?
I am Michelle Hall. I am the mother of Ella Hall. And to answer your question, she went to school and had a horrible seizure that could have cost an ambulance trip to a hospital for just a dead run, because they won't treat you if you bring your child to an emergency room for a seizure. If they're epileptic, they're like, okay, and that's it. They send you home. I was able to take like a nose Flonase, pump one pump in her nose. Within seconds, seizure stopped. A lot of children after a severe seizure, they sleep for hours because it's like their little computers have to reboot. With this, within just minutes, she was waking up. She was aware of where she was at. At that point, it's the parent's choice. Do I take the child home or do I let them stay? You can monitor. There's no damage. with this, it stops the seizure very quickly. I mean, within seconds, you can get your child stopped and back on her feet again. With the medicines that the pharmaceutical companies want, they're very invasive. Most of them are rectally. The schools don't, they have to be trained to do this. This is like a Flonase. This is just instant. If you do a sinus or allergy medicine, it's the same exact thing. So, you know, my child was able to go back to school. I had to take her off school property because it was a drug, and I didn't want to risk anything by doing something on the school grounds. So I removed her from school property, gave her her meds, and took her back. And she was able to finish her day. So this, you know, for parents that may not be there or able to go to the school immediately, or if they live out in rural areas, they may not have that option to do it themselves. And schools can do that very easily, in my opinion.
Okay, Ms. Hall, thank you so much. Pardon me, and very emotional testimony from both of you. We appreciate it today. Okay, I'm being handed some more cards. Catherine Castleberry, you wanted to testify. Is there anything you can add? Okay, in favor. And Dr. Jonathan Alden, on behalf of himself, or is it Alan? Getting a lot of interesting handwriting this morning. I apologize. But he is a doctor. So anyway, also in favor. Representative Bagley, would you like to close on your bill?
I don't think, in essence of time, you've heard what I'm going to say, and the members, I'm sure, have made up their mind. Thank you.
I appreciate that very much. Okay, members, Representative Owen has moved that we report HB 56 favorably. Any objections to reporting favorably? What? With amendments? Seeing none, HB 56 will be reported favorably with amendments. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you,
Okay.
members.
Next bill is House Bill 56 by Representative Bagley, relative to administration of medication in schools, administration of medical marijuana to students with recommendation from a licensed physician.
All right, Representative Bagley on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill will allow students, let me get my deal. This bill allows students who have situations where they need medical marijuana. Normally that would be seizures, trauma associated with a car accident, something like that. If they have that, their doctor, personal care physician, will prescribe or recommend they have the marijuana. Right now, if they have that or if they're taking it prescribed, they must leave campus, go home, take the dosage, and come back, often meaning that hours are missed out of school daily. This simply the parent would have to take the medical marijuana to the school, give it to the principal or his designee. That person would administer the medical marijuana to that student. Student would come out of the classroom, go to the office, have it administered, and go back to class, saving time and from them. I want to mention that no one else except the parent or caregiver can do this. Students cannot handle it. Once it goes to school, it has to be locked in a box there on the campus. Schools have the ability to opt out of this. The school does not have to do this. If they choose not to, all they have to do is communicate with the parents that they are not going to be in this program, and they do not have to do it. Schools that are designated the designated personnel will be immune from prosecution under the current law. I'll take any questions.
All right, Representative Huval for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Bagley, as I questioned you, a school district can opt out of this if they decide to, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you very much.
Each school district has the option to opt out if they don't think that's something they need to do, and can easily.
Thank you.
All right, Representative Presley for a question.
Representative Bagley.
Yes.
Are you aware that school zones are currently drug-free zones pursuant to federal law?
I understand if it's illegal drugs, but these drugs are prescribed by physicians.
They're recommended by a physician, correct?
All right, we'll say recommended. It is legal.
But it's not prescribed. It's recommended by a physician, isn't that correct?
By a personal care physician, and under our law, they're allowed to do that.
But federal law, it's still Schedule 1 drug, correct?
By federal law, marijuana is a Schedule I drug, yes.
Thank you.
This is medical marijuana.
This is not a Schedule 1 drug?
I don't want to go into this with you, Representative. I mean, if you want to, but you know that the amount of hallucinogenics in this drug is not the same as what they have on the street. That's why we get to do that. That's why they use it for the medicine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there are no more questions. Chairman Bagley moves final passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed vote nay. The clerk will open the machines. Members, vote your machines. Vote your machines, members. Vote your machines. Do voting. Butler, yes. White, yes. Henry, no. Amity, yes. You do voting? All right, close them up. 67 yeas, 18 nays, and the bill is finally passed. Representative Bagley moves to adopt the title, moves to reconsider the vote by which the bill was finally passed, and lay that motion on the table without objection, so ordered. Next bill. Open it up for co-authors. 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 You through voting, members? All right, close them up. 17 co-authors.